Good evening, everyone, and welcome to When the Shift Hits the Fan. And tonight, I'm here with my co-host, Linda Lehman. My name is Mark Jeffrey. You know, the last couple of weeks in March, we had gone through all the things that make us crazy and, you know, not being able to get through things and how to actually make it through. And we said, you know, March is it. We're done. And we're going to move forward. And so April is that for us. April is jumping from that old mindset and all the limiting beliefs and all the things that hold you back and jumping wholeheartedly and full-mindedly into a new you and a new beginning. And it's funny because my last week, you know, was a little frustrating for me. And I know many of our listeners, you're also one of my Facebook people out there, and you kind of, you know, were involved with a little scenario that went by. But for those of you that are not, it was just one of those weeks where you expect people to do the right thing and they perhaps don't. And you get frustrated with the way things are going. And for me, I'm a wild attack when things like that happen. And I believe that something should happen in a specific way, and I'm going to push and push until I get my desired results. And I'm pretty much that way with everything that I do. Now, for some people, they're not going to accept that type of reaction from someone. You know, some people just are not going to react well to that. But I don't want to say that I'm a bitch. When I'm doing this, I'm not normally. I come up with a way. I sit down and I have a plan of how I'm going to converse with somebody, how I'm going to get what I want, but I'm not going to back down. Not ever. You know, and then if you start pushing me, I'm going to push back harder. And again, I'm not here to say that that's the best way to deal with things. I'm just telling you that that's the way my week was going. And, you know, everything resolved itself at the end of the day. My truck was supposed to be, you know, brand new truck, wasn't getting fixed, and it would give me a hard time. Then I didn't have my own vehicle, so I lost my keys, and I normally have to open my door. So I had to drive all the way into town, pick up another set of keys so I could get into my house. It was just that kind of week. So for me, I balanced it out by having a spa weekend. Just took off, went to the mountains, have a massage, you know, take in some stuff, just get some fresh air, just like leave it and don't look back. You know, and of course I'm recounting this tonight just because I want to show you that there's a yin to a yang, and you really have to find that balance. And sometimes I'm going to admit, I'm not all that great at it. If something is really frustrating me, I mean, I feel it. I'm sure most of you do, that little knot right between your shoulder blades. You know, you can kind of feel that you're getting a little hotter, and probably if you looked in the mirror, your face might be a little bit flushed. And it's because you have a physical response, and you're going to go a couple of different ways now. And Linda and I are diametrically different when we're dealing with some things. And I love people like that are so different from me, because sometimes I can, if I'm really good, I'll zipper my mouth. And when I'm together with them, I'll let them do the talking. Because it is true that you can catch more flies with honey. And I'm just not always the honey type of person. And that's why in my life, I strive to have friends that compliment me. If we were all wild Irish, go for it, you know, there'd probably be some World War III happening with a bunch of gingers running around picking people off. And so it's important for me, and I think for everybody that listens here, you need to find that balance. And with the shift, it's our two views. We don't necessarily always agree on things. But what we do agree on is we always, every day, strive to be better at who we are and what we present to the world, and helping other people see that as well. And now, Linda, you always manage to be the calming factor in a lot of the people's lives that we have. And I think that, but I find it hard, I think, sometimes to understand how you can remain so calm under fire all the time. Like, what is it inside you? What is the landscape and the framework of that through your eyes when you're confronted with something that drives you bat crazy?
That's a good question, Mark. And I want to preface how I'm going to go about answering this with, I guess, a caution, or just to let everyone know that the way I am now has taken years of work.
Well, I'm just gonna raise my hand and say I don't doubt that.
Because that, that other side sometimes tries to come out. But yeah, I mean, I've been in the bat crazy. Anybody around me better be warned when my head starts spinning. There's no prisoners. Let's just put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
My older brother would even tell stories, and he would even tell people that Linda doesn't get mad often, which even way back as a kid I could be volatile sometimes, in my opinion, but especially if you were messing, I could mess with my brothers all day long, but if somebody else did, you're dealing
Mm-hmm.
with me.
Yeah.
But he would say, she may not get mad often, but when she does, run. So all of those things that you were describing, Mark, begin to well up inside of me, just like with everyone else, especially when there's a situation, it's not going my way or it's not going your way, and nothing that you can do immediately seems to start steering it in that direction. And, I feel this feeling welling up almost from my toes, and I can feel my neck turning red, and, I can feel all of this. But through many years of study, many years of really digging into understanding the mind, trying to figure out how it works and what happens if I react this way or what happens when I react that way, and just experimenting really, Mark, with, okay, well, what if I were to back off and calm down and then look at this a little bit differently? What would change with my outcome? And so now, Mark, that feeling, that welling up feeling that I feel inside of me truly is a trigger for me to stop, just to stop immediately, take a deep breath and go inside and say, okay, this is my clue here. I am reacting to something negative. But I know, and I know that I know now, and some people are going to think that this is hokey, I know that there's an opposite to this. There's some good in this. There's a better way in this. But the same thinking that has me aggravated and mad and about to really blow my stack isn't going to get me out of this. I have to look at this from a different perspective in a calm, collected, peaceful, loving way to see how we can get around this. An example, everyone knows that I've been in healthcare for a bazillion years, and I've been on the receiving end when something happened, we've made a mistake, somebody shows it. This is a real teensy example, but it's a big deal to the person or the patient. Somebody's made a mistake, and the patient shows up for an appointment, but they're not on our schedule. But they insisted they had it, and maybe the doctor's not even there. And I mean, I've been on the receiving end of the tongue lashing from the patient because, you know, they went out of their way that day to come in. They're not feeling good, you know, whatever the situation is. And now I'm the person standing in front of them saying, this isn't going to happen today. Well, that happened to me in my healing quest. I drove up all the way, and this is 6 hours one way, drove up to have this appointment. And it was one of my surgical procedures. And I showed up at the clinic, and that very thing happened. Oh, no, we don't have you on the schedule. The doctor's not in today. And so, you know, I've lived this scenario. Now, I could have totally gone ballistic, and I could have justified it to myself. You know, I'm looking at a 12-hour round trip, wasted time, wasted day, wear and tear on me, my vehicle, my gas, everything, and now I'm going to have to come back. But at that moment in time, I took a deep breath, I took a step back, and I said, okay, I understand there's been a mistake. And then so I was able to calm down and just progressively kind of go through the scenario, because they actually called me outside of and put me in outside of their regular available appointment, and I spoke directly with the manager that day. So I said, I tell you what, while you try to reach this manager, we'll hang out around town for a little bit, and you let me know what we can do. Now, this isn't, Mark, this is not an example of me just bowing down and being walked over. But at that point, I knew, my intuition told me that if I went ballistic on this poor receptionist, she was going to clam up, and she wasn't going to try to rectify the situation. She wasn't going to try to help me at all. And so I believe, because I was calm, I was cool, I was collected, at least on the outside, I felt like things were going to work out. I didn't know how, but I felt like things were going to work out. Well, about 30 minutes later, the manager called me, very apologetic. Linda, I remember us talking. I remember telling you this day, I got in touch with the doctor. If you will come over to our other office, he said he would take care of that procedure for you today anyway. Mm-hmm. So it all worked out as it should. But again, it could have been different. I could have stormed out of there, madder than mad. I could have taken no prisoners, and I would have had to drive back again.
Well, exactly, and I think it's a key point here, that you have to come to the realization, like you said, you have to look at what will be the successful outcome. That's where you have to look first. Like for me, it was, I need my truck back, and I'm not spending a dime on it. Okay, that was my objective, because it had nothing to do with me, right? It was a brand new vehicle. It was something, and we're not going to go into the story of it in the telling of that, but it was something that was not, that I should never have been, even no one should have spoken about me being responsible. And so when people started throwing that, like, well, you know, we're doing a favor to you if maybe we cut the bill in half or something like this, so we can do this at cost. And, you know, for me, I'm just standing there. And I guess on one hand, I would have been, you know, looking from the outside in inside I was doing the same thing, like I'm going to punch you. You know, that's what I was saying inside my head. But on the outside, I'm just saying not acceptable. And that's it. Like, not acceptable. And I'm just not saying anything. And you're looking at me and I'm looking at you, and it's going, but you know, you have to be like, in your own power as well, because like you said, Linda, it's not that you're a pushover. You recognize that if you would have went ballistic on this poor person like I did, it's a service guy, right? He can't make a decision. I mean, he shouldn't have been talking, but he can't make a decision, and I knew that. It had to come from somewhere else. But if he's the person for me that was there, I mean, I had to, and he's not, for instance, if that receptionist or, I hate calling them that, they could be the medical person.
Medical assistant would probably be
medical
better.
assistant, yeah. If that medical assistant had said, well, just too bad, I mean, there's nothing we can do, and wasn't prepared to do anything at all, then it could have had a different outcome. I know for me it would have, but it could have gone, like, because and this is what we're trying to tell everybody. You're going to, you're going to have different people react in different ways, because I'm telling you, the guy that I was dealing with should not in any way, shape, or form be really talking to people. But I also recognized that this guy's on commission. So you know what this reminds me of, Linda? It's because we have a lot of entrepreneurs. I want to bring this up. You know when you get on a website and it says, buy this for $49, and you go, no, I don't want it, and you click it and you get this pop-up, wait, we'll do this for you, and you go, no, and you click that, and another one comes up, wait, I even got a better deal for you. That's what I felt like this guy was doing, popping up every time I gave an objection to what he was going to do. Like, I thought, and so I thought, good thing I'm an entrepreneur. I'm used to this. I'll just sit here and keep pressing that button until I get the deal that I want. So I became the pop-up. Nope, not good enough. Here, try something else. Until I ended up getting the owner to make all these concessions that I wanted to in the first place. So, there's just so many ways to do this. But you're right. Taking a round out of somebody who cannot give you the desired result is just futile. It's not going to make you feel better, because you're going to feel like a complete idiot for yelling at the wrong person. You're probably going to have to apologize, and you're not going to get that desired result. So, yeah, we got some shifting to do, because I see people do this all the time, like at the clerk, right, at Walmart. Well, that's not priced right. Well, as if she had something to do with it. There's no sense in ripping her face off, because, okay, you don't, sometimes, like Linda, you gave them a chance to make it right? Mm-hmm. As I did. But if I would have went and ripped this guy's face off and you did that to the medical assistant, then they would have just, like you said, you're like, whatever.
Yeah, forget you.
And I lost you somewhere over there. I forgot your number. I actually forgot your name. I don't even know you exist. That's what you're going to get in return.
That's right. Somebody showed up for an appointment, but they weren't on the books. They must have gotten the day wrong.
Yeah.
I could hear the whole scenario playing through my head. And you still had to, just like I did, but you still had to trust these people with your vehicle. You can't totally burn that bridge.
Exactly. That's like a waiter spitting in your soup.
I know.
I am so nice to waiters and waitresses for that reason alone. Because, I don't even know if that ever really happens. I'm sure it does. But, because it wouldn't be a desired outcome for them to do that with my food. And it was funny because we had gone out for dinner and the calamari was burnt. And I looked at it and, we kind of thought, well, no. And then, so I said to Alana, I said, well, take a bite of it. Of course, I made her do it. Take a bite of it and tell me if it really tastes bad, because if it's just the way they cook it, then, it was okay. But it wasn't. It wasn't done well. So, we just simply said, look, is this the way this comes all the time? Because if it does, can we just return it because it's not our taste? And if it doesn't, can you make us a better one? So we got the desired result. But we could have gone, and you see people doing this in restaurants, like, here, take this back. This isn't, really? They're going to spit on your calamari.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a way to approach it. And you know what, too, Mark, and we talked about this in, I think, previous shows, the energy that you're putting out. I mean, when you get angry or ugly or just decided, you know what, today's the day that I'm totally going to go ballistic on somebody, if you will stand back and notice, your whole day goes like that, and nothing goes right. Nothing goes well. And it's because you've put yourself in this negative energy and this negative vibration, and the only thing that you can attract back to you is more of the same negative energy. Whereas if people will just start paying attention, and this is what takes practice, Mark, is actually paying attention enough to be aware of these moments when you're actually reacting and feeling and being this negative, and at that moment of realization, you have an opportunity to immediately flip it, just like you flip a light switch. So, when I say that I step back and I close my eyes and I take a deep breath, what I'm doing is I'm flipping that light switch. And I'm saying to myself, this is not going the way it needs to go. I'm in a negative vibration. I have different cues for myself that will put me immediately back into a positive vibration. And, for some people it may be thinking about their children, when they were, I used to think of Amanda and Kaylee when they were babies, little toddlers and the cute little toothless grins. That gets me every time. I immediately pop right back out, and I'm in a positive vibration. And then I can think clearly, look at the other the other angles or other sides of this, and be able to communicate or find a solution instead of just getting mired down in the problem deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yep. And that's what we're talking about, a mind shift of shifting some. Here's another silly example, but I know you're all going to know this. You hit every red light. Now, here's the thing. You could do something like you could say, I'm hitting every red light, and definitely the universe is going to come in and give you every red light you want. The other thing is somebody else says that to you. Man, you hit every red light. You can shift to that, because if you accept that, and it's been, honest to Pete, this has been studied, that people change the actual speed that they're going from red light to hit a red light. Subconsciously, actually, and I that blew me away. I thought that's not possible, but they did. I don't know, Mythbusters, that's what it was on. And they always, you hit every red light. Well, how could that be? Why does that happen? And yeah, they took and they had the accelerator and everything, and people were making conscious changes in their driving behavior, and they hit the next red light. I thought that was so cool, because it's a reinforcement of the fact that you can physically adapt things in your outside by what you're thinking. And, we do it every day.
Yes, we do. And, if you can change and adapt things like hitting the red lights, then you can change and adapt anything, Mark, because the same laws that apply to that apply to everything. That's a cool thing. That's a really cool thing about this wonderful universe we live in, and the universal laws. It doesn't. They don't just apply, over here to the left, but not over to the right. They apply with everything. Nature is such a wonderful example for us on how those universal laws work, because you see it all the time. You can actually see it. You don't have to imagine it. You can actually see it. It's just like, the tides. The tides come in, the tides come out. There's a rhythm to it. The seasons, there's a rhythm to it. Your business, there's a rhythm to it. So if you know this, you understand this, you accept this, that there's going to be, peaks and valleys and peaks and valleys. When you're in one of those valleys, instead of getting down in the dumps and, woe is me, I'm never successful, nothing ever works out for me, understand it's just a little dip, it's a valley. Start focusing on that peak. And Mark, you're going to pull yourself up out of there faster, because you're actually working with these laws instead of, allowing these laws to, appear to work against you, which they're not.
Well,
they just are.
Yeah, and exactly. It's kind of funny though, because a lot of people don't even believe in that. And you're right, the hokey pokey, all you new age people and all this stuff. But you know what? From generations, way beyond, like the cream always rises to the top. That is a fact, right? So what you're doing in essence, if you're fighting against, like if you're not getting desired results, okay, let's start there. You're not getting in your relationships, your life, I don't care what it is, right, your business, then you're not letting the cream rise to the top. You're doing something that is not allowing the natural flow, because no matter what it is, whether you believe in God or the universe or Buddha or Allah, it doesn't really matter. If you believe in the lightness of life will be there for you, and it will find a way to get there. And sometimes, I struggle. I struggle with my own emotions. And because sometimes my own emotions make me very creative. I write a lot of ad copy, and, I do a lot of marketing, so it allows me to be very creative. So I don't want to tamp it down. But some days, when I get blindsided by something I'm not expecting, it takes me quite a shift. Slam on the brakes, sliding into the curb, shifting down before I will go, whoa. And I know that, it's a learned experience. You have to understand, like Linda, when you're out of control and when you need to yank it back, and it takes some time to learn.
Mhm. Yeah, and sometimes if you're stubborn like me, it can take years. I confess, it has taken me years.
Yeah.
But you know what? What a ride! What a journey of just getting to know myself better and being able to pay attention. It's been worth it.
Yeah, you get what you wanted. And that's, to me, that's the honeypot. That says, are you getting what you want or are you not? And if you're not, then you really have to take a shift. And I get that sometimes that's really difficult. Like, where do you learn it? Okay, that's one thing. Well, where you're going to learn it is in the next 4 weeks, because we're going to break it down. That's what we've decided to do. And just like we're talking, I know what I do. Linda knows what she does. Somewhere in the middle or somewhere on each end of this, you're going to see yourself. Okay, you will. You'll see yourself and you go, yeah, that's what I do and that's what's happening to me. And I have a way now that I can focus on success. And again, we're down at the bottom of another half an hour. But keep tuned, you guys, because we're really going to get into this step-by-step ways of how we both deal with things, and from different perspectives. It's 2 views, 2 different perspectives, and different ways that you can use to make yourself so powerful that you're just going to dance on your tippy toes because you can. So again, Linda, we've chatted it up here tonight, but the last word, my friend, is always yours.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, listeners, for joining us tonight. We started out our conversation tonight talking about, we're jumping into spring. We cleared out all that clutter, or I shouldn't say all of it, a bunch of it last time. So, my wish for everyone on the call is to truly focus on you, focus on what it is you truly want, and set your destination, but then follow that internal compass that you have. And the path will actually unfold before you as long as you're willing to believe in yourself. So the words of wisdom are just to believe in yourself tonight.
Awesome. So, my friends, for Mark here up in Canada, I bid you adieu, and I will see you next Monday, and we'll have our sites, this episode and our other episodes on whentheshifthitsthefan.com. So good night, everybody.
Good night, Mark.